OCD isn't wanting to keep things organized. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. Just a reminder, I'm not a chemist and I'm not a doctor. I do not encourage the use of any substances, illegal or legal, and this video is strictly for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is also not medical advice, this is just my opinion. So, if you guys enjoy this type of content and anything with the mind or the body, please subscribe to this channel and consider giving this video a like. When it comes to obsessive compulsive disorder, there's many things, like even Rhett and Link from Good Mythical Morning made a video called It's My OCD, where they have to organize things or put things in a certain way. Most of the time, this is not what OCD actually looks like. Now, this can be the appearance from OCD from a person from the outside, but let me give you what OCD typically looks like from a person on the inside. I have obsessive compulsive disorder, or at least I'm being treated for it. I have pure OCD now, but I had standard, typical OCD when I was younger. It morphed as I got older. I was not medicated when I was younger. I think that's part of the reason that it may have morphed, but I'm also glad that I wasn't medicated when I was young. I'm not going to get into that, my medication or anything like that. I just want to talk about how OCD presents itself. So a lot of people think that OCD is oftentimes organizational. I don't know where this myth got started. I don't know how it got started. But overall, typically OCD has to do with repetition because it's obsessive compulsive disorder. You are obsessing over one or two particular things. You have a compulsion to do something about it, and you do it over and over again. For me, I was afraid of private parts, essentially. I thought everything that had to do with private parts was gross. This was partially because when I was young, growing up, I kind of thought religious-wise, private parts were just like supposed to be, you don't touch them. And then so whenever I had to go to the bathroom, obviously, I would wash my hands excessively. And it got longer and longer and longer. And then I would start to count the process. This is also very common. You have to count the process. And then things start getting more crazy. Things start getting more weird. So you're washing your hands once, and then you're washing them twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, doing it over and over again. I washed my hands to the point where my hands would bleed. They just had blood all over the back of them coming off. And I used to do this excessively even at school. People thought I was bizarre and a weirdo. And this happened around middle school. And it was just this compulsion because it was, they're dirty, they need to be clean. They're dirty, they need to be clean. They're dirty, they need to be clean. And then if I accidentally touched my shirt or touched my pants or something like that before I was done with the process, I had to start it over. It's a very weird thing. It typically involves some sort of ritual. What people would see as a ritual or something you would do for good luck, but it's not. It got to the point of extremeness that, and typically it also correlates to more and more crazy things in the head that if I don't wash my hands, I'm going to get someone sick. Starts with something very basic like that. And maybe it's because you use the bathroom and you're like, if I don't wash my hands, I'm going to get sick. If I don't wash my hands, I'm going to, if I don't wash my hands 20 times, I'm going to get fecal matter all over my desk or something ridiculous. Or if I don't wash my hands 50 times, I'm going to get pink eye. And then it just keeps getting weirder and weirder and weirder. If I don't wash my hands, my family's going to die because I'm going to get them all sick. If I don't wash my hands 500 times, my mom's teeth are going to fall out because I gave her some sort of weird bacteria in her mouth. Like, bizarre things start forming in your brain when it comes to OCD. A lot of people just thought that I was weird, and I'm not saying it's not weird because weird means different, and in this context I was very different from everybody else. So I just kept washing my hands and washing my hands and washing my hands, and it kept getting weirder and weirder. It also had to do with this idea that private parts were only for using the bathroom and perverted things. This idea that you only had your privates for perverted things. I was raised very hardcore Catholic. I'm a Christian, but I'm not dogging on my parents. I love my mother and I love my father. But when I was growing up, I had this notion that every time I touch my privates, have to do something with perversion, even if I'm just using the bathroom. And it was, if I don't wash off the perversion, of washing, like getting the perversion off my hands. It's ridiculous notions that get worse and worse over time. I also had one that was knuckle punching, and people used to see me do this in gym. I would put my knuckle, let's say this was the floor of the gym and this was my hand. If we were sitting in gym, I used to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right now I have the compulsion to finish each knuckle. I'm not going to because I need to stop the process, but I used to go through and do each of my knuckles. And this idea was correlated to I wanted to get my knuckles stronger so I would be a better fighter because I was a Taekwondo martial artist and I did a lot of sparring. And that just kept building and building and building and building, and now I just have ridiculously bizarre knuckles because I did it over so long and my knuckles are discolored. As well as the hand washing, I did that at the same time, so my obsessive compulsive disorder got ridiculously bad. I'm sorry, my obsessive compulsive disorder led to my hands being destroyed. And over time, the way that it stopped was people telling me to stop. And this is actually very common. People who have obsessive compulsive disorder either can suppress it or can just straight up, if someone pulls them away from it and let them know it's going to be okay, because it's based off of fear, based off of anxiety. So when my mother and my brother specifically would pull me away from washing my hands, they would take me away from the bathroom after washing my hands once. They would say, stop, you're ruining your hands, stop. And I needed someone on the other side to help me through this. It is not straightening pencils. I mean, it could be. Maybe you have to count each pencil. Typically, almost always there's associated with counting when you are doing a specific thing over and over again. So that's important to note. But that's basically what I wanted to say about my early presentation of OCD and how it's very misrepresented. Oftentimes it's associated with specifically cleanliness. You have a fear of germs, or you have a fear of some sort of perversion thing or something like that. Very basic, very common, especially for people going through puberty or growing up. And then you become obsessed with cleaning things in a very specific, odd way. And from the outside, it just looks like, oh, they're a very clean person. On the inside, it's, I need to clean this specific spot exactly 495 times. No more, no less. Actually, no. Now it needs to be 500 because I thought about it too much. 500. 500 is better than 495. And then they're like, that's actually my OCD kicking up a bit there. But you're going over it 500 times. And it's, if I don't do this, my sister's going to die. If I don't do this, my sister's going to die. Bizarre things like that. Now, obviously, people experience minor things like this. It's usually once it gets severe enough that people even notice that it's OCD. And it's not typically OCD at younger, smaller things. Like, people will be like, oh, I need to reach that tree before the car does or my sister will die. Just weird, goofy things. We've all done it. Especially when you're younger, we just get like weird, small intrusive thoughts that aren't actually consequential, don't actually mess with our day. Sure, people are extremely organized, but you can meet OCD people that are extremely unorganized, and this is a very weird misconception that people with OCD are organized. I don't really know how this got started, but that's my 2 cents. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell to know when new videos are coming out. And until next time, keep those shoulders back and down when you lift. Don't just have a good one. Have a great one.